Yes, Justin's the only guy I was gonna move if he wants to Stratford.
All right, Sharon, you're on.
All right. Thank you all for coming. I'm going to call the meeting to order and ask the members if there's any declarations of pecuniary interest. None noted. We will move on. You have the agenda in front of you. I'll ask for any amendments and any approval. No amendments to the agenda. And I'll ask for approval of the agenda for December 1st, 2025. Be accepted as presented.
I'll move it.
Second, you guys are gonna be doing it.
We'll take that.
Yeah. All in favor? There we go. You have minutes from our last meeting and put the staff recommendation on the floor. That the September 15th, 2025 Planning Advisory Committee meeting minutes be approved and signed by the chair and deputy clerk. Any errors or omissions? Need a mover?
Yeah.
Seconder? Thank you. All in favor? That is carried. Speaking notes on reports, okay. Notice of the complete application of the Planning Advisory Committee meeting was given to by first class mail to the owners of all properties within 120 meters of the subject lands and those agencies prescribed by regulation, and signage advertising tonight's meeting was posted on the subject lands for the application being considered this evening. Special instructions for attending this meeting and or providing comments were provided on the notice, which could also be found at the town's current planning and development applications webpage and on the events details page for this meeting. During the meeting, the committee will invite members of the public who are in attendance to comment or pose questions regarding the application being considered, which is Development 39-2025 application for zoning amendment bylaw Z04-2025 for 236 Queen Street West. And for the committee's information, there are two pieces of correspondence received in advance of the meeting, which are summarized in Development 39-2025 report. And these were the comments received for Festival Hydro and the Upper Kent River Conservation Authority. So firstly, I will ask our town's planner, Mark Stone, to speak to the application. Mr. Stone, are you there?
Yes, I am. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good evening, everyone. The town has received an application for zoning bylaw amendment for 236 Queen Street West. The property is approximately 666 square meters in size. It's located at the southwest corner of Queen Street West and Salina Street South. And it also relates to a consent application that has also consent to sever application that's been submitted with this zoning application. It'll be considered at a future committee of adjustment meeting. The immediate area consists predominantly of single attached dwelling. There is the Perth County EMS station at the northwest corner of Queen and Salina North. And lastly, Queen Street West is considered an arterial road, the highest order road, according to the official plan, while Salina is a local road. There's an existing single attached dwelling on the northern half of the property, and there are also two additional residential units in the building for a total of 3 dwelling units on the property. There's an existing driveway off of Salina that provides off-street parking for the residential use. The owner is proposing to sever the subject lands into 2 lots as shown on the plan on your screen. The retained portion where the existing development and dwelling are located is about 443 square meters. Now, I should note that at the consent severance stage, there will be conditions requiring a road widening to be conveyed to the town. The official plan has a minimum right-of-way requirement or planned right-of-way for Queen Street West. And therefore, as a result, it's deficient, and the town will be requiring, again, as a condition of a future severance approval, a 5-meter widening along Queen Street. The reason I'm highlighting this is that after a road widening is taken, the property will then be about 361 square meters in size, and that's important for the purposes of the zoning application that's before you this evening. A new access driveway is proposed from Queen Street West to provide 2 additional parking spaces, tandem parking spaces for the existing residential use. And the 2 parking spaces that are off of Salida will be maintained. And so for the retained property, proposed retained lot where the existing residential is situated, there will be 4 parking spaces. The severed portion would be about 223 square meters with frontage of 15.5 meters and a depth of 14.3 meters. The applicant is proposing a 2-story single detached dwelling on this proposed severed lot, and it would have a ground floor area of about 50 square meters. A new driveway is proposed south of the proposed new dwelling, and it would provide 2 tandem parking spaces to the proposed single detached dwelling in accordance with the zoning bylaw requirements. These lands and the lands surrounding are all designated residential. The residential designation permits a range of building forms from single detached dwellings up to low-rise apartments. Some of the key objectives in the residential designation include providing new development through intensification and infill that makes use of existing infrastructure. And when we're speaking of infrastructure, we're talking about existing roads, water lines, sewer, so on. Another objective is providing choice in housing in terms of quality, type, location, and cost. And any application must meet the policies of the residential designation with respect to compatibility and character. The current zoning of the subject property is residential zone 3, R3, and the applicant is proposing to rezone the property to residential 4 zones. The residential zone 4 for the retained lot and the proposed residential 4 for the severed lot will each have site-specific regulations, and I'll go through those in a second. So I'm just going to go through these quickly. These were provided in the notice and also in the staff report. So for the proposed retained lot, where the northern part where the existing dwelling is located, the applicant is requesting a minimum lot area of 361 square meters, whereas the minimum required is 480 square meters. The application also seeks to recognize the existing frontage of 14.3 meters. So this is the existing frontage of that lot, the Queen Street frontage, whereas the minimum required is 16 meters. They're not changing that through the application, but through the zoning, we always ask that we recognize existing deficiencies. The minimum lot depth being requested is 25.1 meters, whereas the zone requires 30 meters. They're requesting a minimum front yard of 2.7 meters, whereas the minimum required is 6 meters. Now, today, the existing dwelling on the proposed retained lot meets the front yard requirement, but because of the the road widening requirement, which would be 5 meters, if this were to go through, then it would not meet that setback. So they're not proposing to build the building closer to Queen Street, but it would become deficient because of the road widening. They're also requesting recognition of the existing interior side yard of 0.6 meters, whereas the minimum required is 2.4 meters. Again, existing situation. Recognize the existing exterior side yard of 3.9 meters, whereas the minimum required is 6. Again, existing situation. And that's the setback from the existing dwelling to Salina. They're requesting a reduction to 3.5 meters for the rear yard, whereas the minimum required is 6 meters. And lastly, for the retained lot, a maximum gross floor area ratio of 72%, whereas the maximum permitted is 70%. And just to explain, the maximum gross floor area ratio is essentially the gross floor area of the building on the property in relation to the size of the lot. It's a zoning provision that's used to generally control massing on properties. With the reduction in the lot size and also the road widening being taken off, they would slightly fall above the maximum of 70%, and so they're requesting 72%. For the proposed severed lot, the number of variances required are more limited. They're requesting a minimum lot area of 223 square meters, whereas 360 square meters is required. A minimum lot depth of 14.3 meters, where the bylaw requires 30. A minimum front yard of 3.7, where the bylaw requires 6. And a minimum rear yard of 2.6, whereas the minimum required 6 meters. I just want to note that the relief that's being sought here, the 4 items, really come down to lot size, and big part of why this is going through a rezoning versus a minor variance. But I think it's important to note, and I think I noted this in the staff report, that the proposed severed lot would meet a number of the key zoning requirements, like minimum lot frontage, interior side yards. It wouldn't exceed the maximum lot coverage requirement. It has no issue with building height. It would easily meet the minimum landscape open space requirement. It would meet the maximum gross floor area ratio requirement, and also would provide the parking that's required by the zone. As the chair mentioned, we've received 2 comments. We haven't received any public comments to date. The Upper Thames River Conservation Authority has no objections to the application and has noted that there are no Section 28 approval requirements. And Festival Hydro has noted that the overhead service wire for 22 Salina Street South. 22 Salina is just immediately to the south of the subject property. 22 Salina Street South currently crosses a portion of the lot to the north, the overhead service wire. As such, this aerial crossing will also be present on the proposed severed lot. As a condition of severance, the overhead service will need to be relocated to eliminate the overhead encroachment. Alternatively, an easement to Festival Hydro can be provided for the portion of the land that the overhead crosses. The Festival Hydro also noted that consultation with the agency is encouraged. This is something that would be dealt with at the consent stage. And that's my overview, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Phil. We'll go to the agent, Aaliyah.
Yes,
Thank you. Aaliyah Richards.
thank you, Chair. Good evening, members of staff, I usually say members of the public, but there's no one here today. My name is Aaliyah Richards, and I'm a planning consultant with Zoning Creative Limited. I'm pleased to be here representing the applicants for this application. And we understand that the decision won't be made here tonight, but we're hopeful of the PAC will validate the staff recommendation to endorse this application in principle. Before I begin, I'd like to thank Mark Stone and Brett Brower for their work in processing this application over the last 6 months or so. It's been a long time to get here, but we're finally here. And so just to give a little overview of the proposed development, Mark did a good job, but I just wanted to emphasize a few key points about this. So, as Mark mentioned, the proposed development seeks to permit the severance of the subject lands into 2 residential lots. The intended use of each lot would remain consistent with the residential designation as per the official plan. And this proposal is a form of gentle intensification, promoting the efficient use of land and municipal services while maintaining compatibility with the surrounding area. The proposed development will contribute to meeting the official plan's target of 20% of all new residential development to be through intensification and redevelopment of lots. While the proposed lot is generally smaller in comparison to many of the lots in the surrounding area, the smaller lot will be able to accommodate a modestly sized home that may be priced lower than larger lots with larger dwellings on them. And therefore, this proposed development will contribute to the supply and range of housing available in the area. Overall, the proposed development is supported by all levels of current land use planning policies, which encourage residential intensification and efficient compact development in areas such as the subject lands. The proposed development offers a compatible form of infill that respects the character of the surrounding area and the streetscape along Salina, and will not have any undue adverse impacts on the surrounding area. Thank you for your time and attention this evening, and I'm available to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you, and that's exactly where we will go to, we have any questions, starting with members of the committee.
Thank you through the chair. Not a question, just again, I would just like to put my support forward for this application. It looks like it fits the neighborhood. If you look at the lot across Helena Street, it's the exact same situation. So I think we're not really changing much in the neighborhood, and I think it's a betterment for the community, so.
Okay, gonna go to in-depth. No other questions? Then members of, oh, well.
That's great.
I don't think we're going to have anything to explain there. No one in the gallery representing strictly the public. So I suppose we can just move ahead from there. And now to ask the committee if you have any other questions or what it says about the public, but comments. But if not, then are you prepared to make a recommendation? Oh, wow. It must be December.
Just. Yeah, I'll move the recommendation.
All right. And yeah, moved and seconded that the development application zoning bylaw Z04/2025 by Zelinka Gramo Limited for Marion to Bravendeer 236 Queen Street West be received, and the Planning Advisory Committee endorse the application in principle, and the Planning Advisory Committee recommend to council that the council proceed to a public meeting to consider the application for zoning bylaw amendment, the Z04/2025 for 236. That's been moved and seconded. Any questions on the motion? All in favor? Here we go. We made this a broken record. Well, we're getting used to these. Item 6, Development 40/2025 Information Report. You can start off, Grant. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, so for the committee, we had a committee adjustment meeting last Wednesday, and they had the exact same report. Basically, we have started the zoning bylaw review. Part of that is dealing with this, I should say dealing, we're talking to this committee as well. As a sounding board before we go to council, it's going to be co-located together with the committee of adjustment. That's where all the issues that either develop from the public or from staff, all the issues that either develop from staff or from the public are going to come get vetted by these two committees, and then we'll provide recommendation up to council. I'll turn it over to Mr. Stone, if that's all right, Mr. Chair.
Absolutely.
That he can kind of get into some of the weeds quite a bit more than what I just did. So, Mr. Stone.
Mark.
Okay, thanks, Mr. Brower. Yeah, it was a good intro, and we just have a couple of quick slides. I think the main message I want to convey to you is, and I hate to dumb things down, but we've done these zoning reviews before, and what we're looking for from a committee members is, first of all, over the last few years, you've dealt with a number of applications, and it could be something as simple as you've looked at an application, as part of that application, you've looked up a definition, and the definition has been a head scratcher. It doesn't make any sense. You have some recommendations, or you're simply thinking that it could be much clearer. a consultant team's going to address these things, but we're looking for you for advice. The other part of this is your advice on the bigger issues. So, for example, this is our second, I believe, smaller lot application that's come before the town, and it won't be the last. They're going through, the applicant, like the previous one, went through a rezoning because it's a more substantial change than what would normally be considered through a minor variance. We're going to be looking to the consultants to tackle this issue, provide us with some advice, provide counsel with some options, but we're looking to you in part as council, as committee members, but also as residents. You know the community. So if there are any other issues that you think may be appropriate, and even if you don't, you're sort of on the fence as to whether or not it's a zoning issue, we don't care. Provide your comments to us and we'll figure out whether it's something to be addressed through the zoning bylaw. Just to summarize, looking at the slide, we have a new official plan. As you said, we have an obligation to implement that official plan. There have been changes to the Planning Act. We want to continue to have a more efficient and user-friendly bylaw. They're not the easiest documents to read, especially residents who may only look at a zoning bylaw once in their lifetime because they want to put a shed on their property. We want to make the document as easy as possible to review and understand. We need to, again, reflect new policies and regulations. So it's not just the official plan, but it could be, for example, the parks recreation master plan. There will be some park size requirements and so on that would need to be addressed in a new zone or zones in the zoning bylaw. Emerging issues. I keep coming back to this, but smaller, denser lots, units on in residential areas in our community, and then modernize the structure again of the format of the bylaw. There's 4 phases to the study. We're in the background review study stage. We've had a quick chat with the Committee of Adjustment already. We've started to talk to all the town departments and various agencies, and everyone has been sending us their issues. Again, whether they're micro issues or the macro issues, and that's why we're talking to you tonight. And then we'll move into phase 2. That's where the proposed direction. So before you actually write the new zoning bylaw, the consultants will identify all of the issues and then provide recommendations on how to address those issues. They may provide options. And as Grant said, we'll be looking to you to weigh in. And I know council will be looking to you to weigh in on that. And then we'll have a new zoning bylaw drafted. It'll be out for public consultation. And then eventually we'll get to a final bylaw. That's really it for me. We're just looking for your assistance, and we look forward to working with you on the new zoning bylaw.
As far as timeline, it's our intent to have this done before next October. Again, the consultant knows this, Mark knows this, staff know this. We want to ensure that we get it done before the election, before that happens, so it doesn't.
Before the committee turns over and all the knowledge base just evaporates.
So that's as far as our timeline with consultant, what we're looking at. We have hit the ground running. It is a consultant that has done several of these. They are called MPG. They are from the Niagara area. The interesting thing about these consultants, they have both municipal experience and private experience. So they've been on both sides of the fence, so to speak, on how we're dealing with issues and going from there. So they've done very good as far as moving things along. They are going to be in town Wednesday for the tailgate. So they're meeting with the building community. It's a little earlier than what we wanted or what we expected, because they weren't supposed to meet till phase 2. But we have a tailgate. We have the opportunity that we're going to meet with the building community at the time. So we're going to get their input as well. To us, it's crucial because they work with it every day. So we want to make sure that we hear their input and get face to face that they're going to be there. So happy to answer any questions you may have.
So when did staff start working on this?
Staff started working on this. It got approved by council October 28th.
Okay.
So, the tender was out in September, et cetera, so here we are today.
Just trying to recall the number of times I've been through this before, over 30 years. I'm guessing this is a shorter timeline than we've ever managed it.
Correct, so the bylaw hasn't been fully updated in this sort of update since 1997.
Yeah.
90s, again, we've had housekeepings and stuff like that, so again, to do a full-on review such as this,
Yeah.
this is the first time that I know of that it's been done. Maybe previous to
The prior
that,
1997 one, I think there was one done, maybe,
is it 70,
yeah, 3,
something like that?
yeah. But right, the 97 one took virtually a whole term.
Correct,
I can't remember the numbers.
so,
Talking about it and saying, can't believe we finally got it done. So, yeah, getting it done by the election is meaningful, but that's gonna require a lot of action.
yeah, so, Mr. Stone, there's been some discussion about, so, one of the ideas was, is Mr. Stone gonna do it? So we intended, no, we're going out for pre-con. Mark's gonna help us on our side to make sure that we're pushing the consultants to make sure everything's done within that window. There was some dialogue amongst staff as well as, some of council about that as well. So, we're prepared, or we know that it needs to be pushed. Mark knows where the challenges are and the chinks are, as well as the rest of the staff, as well as building staff, engineering staff, know some of the challenges that we're having today. As well as the committee does as well, right? All the committees know some of the challenges that we're having, because you see the recurring themes that do come up in front of either committee of adjustment or a plan advisory committee. So I hope to get those all sorted out.
January,
So when we meet with this committee, I think it was gonna be phase 2, Mark.
Correct.
So we're probably looking at February, March. I think we're in that one. So
Yeah,
right
the
now, we're
consult-
still working on phase 1. Go
Yeah,
ahead, Mark.
the consultants are moving, they've heard us loud and clear. They're moving very quickly. And they're already starting to draft the background issues report. I forget the exact name they use, but they've pulled another planner into it because they understand that we're very serious about the 1 year. So we've got a few planners, 3 or 4 planners working on this thing right now, which is a great help.
Yes.
thank you through the chair. Obviously, there's been a ton of provincial changes over the last few years. I guess that's kind of the first overlay for them to see what we're essentially not in compliance with what the province has made as of right. Is that kind of the starting point?
So, well, I think there's 3 starting points. PPS, everything to do with new PPS and everything that's downloaded by the province in keeping with the OP. In keeping with the OP is one of them. Second one is provincial policy, which is the second one, and the third one is challenges that we're having as staff and things that need to be cleaned up. Those are probably the big 3 items we can take a look at that. So.
Yeah, they're looking at everything. And what's interesting is that things are moving so quickly, as you know, with changes, and I keep coming back to this, but to additional residential units. There have been a number of changes that have occurred since our official plan came into place. So the consultant team may actually come back to us and say, you know what, you need to update the official plan, a couple tweaks here and there, because as part of our review of provincial policy, legislation, and so on, the Planning Act, we need to update the official plan also. But that's secondary. But as Grant said, they'll look at provincial policy, provincial legislation, the new official plan, everything at once, and then it's all captured into one document so that everyone can see it and see the flow through to the actual recommendations for changes.
Second and third effects of that is we're gonna have to update bylaws after that, such as property standards bylaw. There's things within the property standard bylaw that are reflected from the zoning bylaw, and now that's changed. We're gonna have to go back and fix up some of that stuff. There's gonna be a number of.
In that regard, I don't think we only had one property standards meeting
Meeting, yes, we,
for this committee.
correct.
So are you guys doing a ton of work that never gets to us or?
Correct.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, we are.
I was just wondering just how effective that whole bylaw is.
It's, depends on the, so we are having some challenge with it as far as timelines and stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
But generally, we're getting conformance to the bylaw.
Yeah.
It's our goal again to avoid having it from the committee. Yeah, we had one hearing, the last,
2
I was gonna say,
terms,
15 years probably,
Yeah.
because I think that's how long it's been, but
that long.
yeah. It was an interesting one that. So there's gonna have to be, so once we get
It
the.
probably does need some updating after
Yeah,
15
so
years.
there are gonna be, have to be some bylaws that are gonna be updated because of that.
Yeah.
I assume maybe some of the traffic bylaws or, I know property standards for sure is gonna be one of them that's we're gonna have to deal with, so. Yeah,
Would be an interesting year.
it will be.
All right. Nothing else to add, Mark?
No, all good. The difficult ask is for you to provide your comments ASAP. Because we are on a tight schedule and any issues,
You,
especially the big ticket issues, the big ticket ones, the small ones like a definition that needs to be fixed. Okay, we'll deal with that later. But any big ticket issues that you're thinking about, if in the next, Grant, in the next week, if you can send us an email, that would be
Okay.
very helpful.
yeah, I was just gonna ask how you want us to do that, whether you.
Just
want
send us
us
an email.
Okay, I was gonna suggest if you want us to have a sit-down meeting amongst ourselves and hash it out, but, we can do it by email. The committee's good with that. That would be, let's see, the usual, comment they make these, why have a meeting when an email will do, so, well, there we go. Make your life easier, I'm sure. Then we'll move on, upcoming meetings, nothing deemed.
Sorry, Chair, do
complete.
you mind passing the recommendation?
Oh, pardon me, we have a recommendation there. Who wants to be the mover?
I'll move it.
There we go, and second, all in favor. There we go.
Thank you.
And then upcoming meetings, when an application is deemed complete, or at the call of the chair, as they say. Nothing else? There we go. Move for adjournment. All in favor? Carried. Thank you.